And we're going to now move on to our next speaker, another person who I feel like odd to even try to introduce. Shriman Rasik Mohan Prabhu is a long time, like lifelong, basically devotee, brahmachari. He's very, very familiar to everyone who's tuned into Bhakti Zoom. He's been serving his whole life. He received Diksha at age 9 from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and has most recently been inaugurated the 60-acre Bhakti Bandhav ashram in the Catskills of New York, which I have not yet had the pleasure to visit, but I cannot wait to go. I understand there's life-size Seva Kunj deities there that must be just magnificent. And we're very fortunate to have him joining us to offer Pushpanjali today. Hari Bol, Rasik Mohan Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams. Thank you so much for being here. After your invocation, you'll have 30 minutes to deliver your Pushpanjali, and we're very honored and glad that you are here. Hari Bol.
Hare Sham, everyone, Dandavat. Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Guruve Gaura Chandraya Radhikaye Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha. Yam Prabrajantam Anupetam Apeta Dvaipayano Virahaka Taraya Juhava Putreti Tanmayataya Tarabo Binedustam Sarvabhuta Hridayam Munimanatosmi. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Guruji Maharaj ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Samasta Rupana Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam. Hare Krishna, everyone. Dandavat Pranams. Hope you're all doing wonderfully. So today, by the request of senior Vaishnavas, I'll repeat some of the teachings of my Guru Pada Padma, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, about the glory of our dear most Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, Shri Barsha Bhanavi Devi Dhaita. We should understand there are different levels of perception of our Guru Varga. Just like the moon is always full, but according to one's perception, one sees it according to different facets and different degrees. So we should understand the Guru Varga and acharyas like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur from all different angles. So that's why having these 3-4 day Zoom programs with so many different speakers is a very wonderful initiative, because it helps us to see these acharyas from different perceptions, for different angles of perception. Jiski jahir pavana jaisi hari murad dhika tintesi. According to one's mood, one sees the Lord and interacts with him. Hari Ananta, Hari Kata Ananta. So the Lord is unlimited, and his devotees and their glories are also unlimited. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, he's described to be like the full moon surrounded by millions of effulgent stars. And when we read the beautiful Dasagam prayers written by Srila Bhakti Rakshak Srila Goswami Maharaj, it really helps us start to get a glimpse of the importance and glory of these personalities and develop great faith and honor in them. And then we can start hopefully to develop a mood of sincere service, humility, and desire to serve their mood. Manobishta Seva. We don't have to become, we are not Mayavadis, Ahangarupasaniks. We're not trying to become the acharyas. We're trying to serve the acharyas. Serve their mood. In serving their mood, we can be like their postmen, distributing their message. One of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's prominent instructions was genuine service to Sri Mayapur Dham, the appearance place of Lord Gauranga, from where this movement has originated and will develop throughout the world. Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada said, genuine service to Mayapur is performed through Brihad Mridanga, the big Mridanga, which means prachar, preaching, through publication, through media, and other forms of communication, and Namhatta. Namhatta means the marketplace of the holy name. Going place to place and establishing programs where we perform Nam Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravan, hearing the holy names, chanting the holy names, hearing Katha, Bhagavat Katha, which is also Kirtan. We should understand that Kirtan includes Hari Katha. Our Srila Gurudev would say, Sukadev Goswami is the best Kirtaniya. So this is also Krishna Kirtan. So Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, if we look at his life, it's a very amazing, very beautiful, transcendental life, full of Atimartya Charitraya, so many transcendental activities. From the time he was a little boy, he was born with Brahmin thread around his umbilical cord, wrapped like a Brahmin thread, and the marks remained on his body to show that he was firmly connected to Parabrahma, the absolute truth, in his service. He was not something that you could say he developed into this. He didn't develop into a devotee. He's an eternal devotee, eternal associate of Shri Radha Krishna. Therefore, when he took initiation from Srila Gokshalas Babaji Maharaj, he was given the name Shri Barsha Bhanavi Devi Daita Das. He is the servant of Shri Barsha Bhanavi Devi, that Gandharvika Srimati Radhika, and her beloved Shri Krishna. Therefore, his worshipful lords are Gandharvika Giridhari, that Srimati Radhika and Shri Krishna. So, in the Pranam mantras of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, we hear Shri Barsha Bhanavi Devi Dhaitai Kripabde Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dhaine Prabhave Namaha. That Dhaine Prabhave Namaha, how can we understand what he is giving? Krishna Sambandha Vigyan. Vigyan is not book knowledge or theoretical knowledge. Vigyan is realized knowledge of one's Sambandha relationship with Sri Krishna. And he bestowed that, and it's the highest level of transcendental knowledge. And that's why it's connected to this mood of Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayor Das Das and Das. I am simply the servant of that Shri Krishna, the beloved of the gopis, Radha Kanta Namostute, the beloved of Srimati Radhika. That is my identity. I am not Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. I'm not Grahasta, Brahmachari, Vanaprastha, Sannyasi. Who am I? This is my eternal identity. That's why I was saying we should understand these acharyas, not just from their roles in this world, but from their identity in the spiritual world. It's a very important understanding. Srila Gurudev would say, it's not that we are jumping to that point, but in order to understand the full conception, we have to understand who he is in that realm. In some places, they criticize some followers of the Gaudiyas that they're very dry. They only speak tattva. They don't have any ras. And Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada countered that. He said, it's not so. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself revealed his own Manjari name in his songs. Kamala Manjari Naam, Chode Dwadasa Barsha. He gave his age, his color, his name, everything. This is not a cheap thing. We cannot immaturely or prematurely try to consider ourselves this or that. But Vigyan, Krishna Sambandha Vigyan Daine, he came to give us that realization of our relationship with Krishna, Madhuryojwala Prema Dya, that is full of the most effulgent sweetness of divine love. Shri Rupanuga Bhakti Da, he gave us this Rupanuga Bhakti. In this way, he is Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute. What does it mean to be Gaura Karuna Shakti? Means Gauranga Mahaprabhu himself is the incarnation of mercy. Karunaya avatirna kalau. He has appeared to bestow mercy. He is, Krishna is Madhurya Purush, full of sweetness. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is coming to give Audarya Lila. Audarya means magnanimity. He's giving us this prem out of so much magnanimity. Gaura Karuna Shakti. So Karuna Shakti is the mercy potency of mercy incarnate. It's Gaura Karuna Shakti. So of all the very form of mercy, Vigrahaya, Gauranga, who is himself the incarnation of mercy, the embodied form of the mercy potency of that Gauranga, who is the incarnation of mercy, that is Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada. Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya. He is the form of that personification of the Lord's mercy potency. We hear Acharyas say that Mahaprabhu told his Karuna Shakti, oh, mercy potency, go everywhere without discrimination. For so long, in religious groups and other groups, there's a sort of classism. You're qualified, you're not qualified. You're welcome in the club, you're not welcome in the club. That's not the pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada. Kiba vipra kiba nyashi sudra kena noy. Whoever one may be, they may be a Brahmin, they may be a sannyasi, they may be a Shudra. Jai Krishna Tattva Veta Se Guru Hoy. One who knows Krishna Tattva, they can be Guru. Such a broad-minded conception. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada epitomized this mood of open-hearted distribution. He wanted every soul, every human being in the world to hear Krishna Nam. So he really crystallized and presented the real message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That over time, it's natural that as people gain power and position, they like to restrict everything for their own selves. But the mood of Mahaprabhu is freely, broadly give this everywhere. Abada Kuruna Sindhu Katiya Muhan Gare Gare Bule Prem Ami Aravan. So Nityananda Prabhu and Mahaprabhu together, Mahaprabhu sent Nityananda everywhere. He said he broke open the dam of this flood of prem and it went everywhere to every home. How? By this mood of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and how he preached. It was very controversial that people who are men and women both got Gayatri Mantra initiation. Because once you get that Brahminical initiation or Gayatri, then you are able to lead in society. Before, only those who are born into a higher caste can preach or can lead in a spiritual society. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur established the exalted position of Vaishnava, that Vaishnavism is not a gender-based concept, nor is it a caste-based concept. Every soul is by nature connected to God, servant of God, and therefore able to have relationship. Brahman, how to connect to that Para Brahman? You must become a Brahmin. And that is the nature of the soul. Brahma Janati iti Brahmana. A Brahmana is someone who knows the absolute. Krishna Sambandha Vigyan. And who knows the absolute better than Srimati Radhika and her maidservants? Patato Brahma Jigyasa. They know that absolute truth to the highest extent. Others are like, they're talking about the absolute truth from a very, very far distance. But the maidservants of Srimati Radhika, Krishna will sit up and stand down and hold his ears on their command. They know everything. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, from his very infancy, he was engaged in unalloyed bhakti. Even as a little boy, he would carry the books of his father, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, for class, and he would preach. He preached very boldly. Some people think if you boldly preach, it won't attract people. People will get turned off. We shouldn't confuse bold preaching with like condescending preaching. To boldly preach with great love and affection is very different than like Bible thumping, where we're just telling everyone they're horrible and damned. He boldly preached the truth, but because his heart was full of so much mercy and love, he brought everyone together. That's why sweetness and affection is a crucial element of successful preaching. Sweetness and affection mixed with siddhanta and proper maryada, etiquette. But if there's no sweetness, then why will anyone? Krishna is madhurya, full of sweetness. If we are not preaching with any sweetness, then it's like we're not living what we are speaking about. Braj and Krishna, everything is full of sweet, madhurya. But yet we are very always angry and disturbed and cutting. And what is this? So Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada was full of so much gravity, but ultimately we see his heart was full of so much love and affection. And that's how everyone came together. So he, for 9 years, he was chanting 3 lakh Harinam every day. 3 lakh Harinam every day. But at the same time, he was working on publishing Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's books and magazines and articles. 100% engaged. Vasudevaika Nilaya Savai Bhagavat Uttama. He exhibited all the qualities of pure devotee. Nakama Karma Bijanam Yasya Chatasi Sambhava Vasudevaika Nilaya Savai Bhagavat Uttama. People say, I don't have enough time to chant my rounds, then chant more rounds. You'll find time. Krishna will arrange time, the holy names will arrange time. Don't think that, oh, you can either do this or you do that. I can either do bhajan or I can preach. I can't do both. No. Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada said, Dushta maratumi kishra vaishnav pratishthita gare nija neragare tomara kevala kaitav. He told everyone, why I'm telling this is because Bhaktivinoda Thakur was preaching to a crowd of hundreds of people, and he had to go on some business, and he told his young son, Bimala Prasad, to preach, to give the lectures. And when Bhaktivinoda Thakur returned, he saw that many people had left. There was only some people remaining. He said, I was preaching, the field was expanding. Where did everyone go? He said they didn't want to hear the real truth. There were many cheaters and pretenders. So it was necessary to, you could say, boil the milk before you expand the milk. Meaning the preachers of this movement must not adulterate the pure message. You have to collect people. It's one art to collect people, what we call bridge preaching these days. But then at some point or another, they have to learn the truth. And so it's like a winnowing process, and that's natural. Bhaktivinoda Thakur established a very broad-minded conception, and Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada perfectly lived that in his life and expanded the preaching. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that anyone who has any faith or respect or honor for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they're in his society. You should include them. Whether they think he is God or a devotee or a social reformer, if they have any respect or honor, they are in the society. And he said, you must establish a Vaishnav school and you must establish itinerant preaching. 2 things. Establish a Vaishnav school. This is part of what we're trying to do here in our ashram. Have a Bhakti prep school, Bhakti academy. And people should be trained seriously how to follow Bhakti with integrity, with honesty, in a pure way. Gurudev focused so much on pure Bhakti. We must know the truth and follow it purely. Otherwise, everything becomes counterfeit and artificial. But then once we learn, as we learn as well, we must practice. And therefore, Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada had this missionary spirit that he is coming from that realm. As I said, we should understand the acharyas from all facets of their nature. how he is serving in Gaur Lila, how he is serving in Krishna Lila, Shrimati Radhika, and how he is serving in this world. We should understand this all. And his mood, even though he's coming from that world, as Shrimati Radhika's very dear associate, he's come for a purpose. And so to serve that purpose of his is to be connected to him. Like the messengers, we can deliver the message. So that is our aspiration, to continue delivering this message of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada. He wanted that every human being in this world gets the opportunity to hear the holy names, Krishna Nam. And it's like a Sukriti generating mission. You should develop Sukriti in people's lives everywhere, giving Krishna Prasad, speaking the holy names. One of the things we want to do, we spent our first year here pretty much building the temple and doing some festivals and preaching and programs in this New York City and so forth. But this year we want to go out more in Sankirtan, like a Sankirtan party. Because this is what, when Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada established the Mutt, then after he established the first Chaitanya Mutt, then as young men came, he sent them out preaching. And that is also the mood of Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu said, Suno Suno Nityananda, Suno Haridas, Amaragyay, Koro Sarvatra Prakash, Gare Gare Jao, Mange Viksha, Bolo Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Koro Krishna, Shiksha. Go everywhere, house to house. Preach this Krishna consciousness. So is this missionary spirit. Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada said, don't just sit in a room and think you'll do bhajan. Go out. It's fostering laziness and desire for your own prestige. Better to go out and humbly take up the mandate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Amaragyay Guru hoy tare desh. With great humility, become Guru. What does that mean? Become the messenger of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Amaragyay Guru hoy tare desh. How? Bolo Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Koro Krishna, Shiksha. We're all qualified. Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Prabhupada, he himself took on this mood of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada. When he first met him, you can imagine, he was like a young man. Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada saw he was very qualified. Oh, you speak English well, you're very proficient. I want you to preach in all the Western countries in the English language. Anyone he met, we see Srila Gurudev when he was preaching in later years, and even from the beginning, he was telling people would come to him, how can I serve you? I have this business, I'm trying to collect money, this and that. He said, yes, this is okay, but really you should sell everything, come and join me, become a sannyasi and preach. We shouldn't think only the Acharya is qualified to distribute and serve this message. No, we're all qualified to deliver, like a postman delivers a letter in someone's mailbox. Don't tamper the message, open the letter and change the message and put it in. No, then you'll become punished by the government. It's a federal offense, tampering. So don't tamper with the message, but distribute the message. And so with this kind of broad-minded spirit all over the world, very quickly, this mission spread. 64 temples were opened by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada and many, many preaching centers. He was very unconventional at times. He didn't mind renting properties or anything. He said, it's good if you rent properties, then you'll be bound to go and preach to pay the rent. Otherwise, you just have it, you'll just get lazy and, oh, I don't need to do anything. Everyone will maintain me, then I'll become like a big fat sadhu. No. Sadhu should be lean and thin. Go out on the streets and preach. Then later on, okay, no problem. But Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada's mood, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Prabhupada's mood, Acharya's mood, we see how they had this fiery tenacity and energy. Lion Acharyas. Our Gurudev would tell even his daughters, I don't want you to be like mice and kitten. Meow, 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 meow. Roar. Okay, Manini. Roar. So, one thing that really struck out to me, Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Prabhupada, he wrote in a letter to Hangstuti Prabhu in 1968. He was talking about establishing this same mood. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in his Society of Gauranga article, I want a Vaishnav school for training, Bhakti Sastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, Bhakti Vedanta. And I want all my sons and daughters to study in this way and become ready to initiate. He said within 4 or 5 years, we see Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Jaiva Dharma, how quickly people advanced. And yet we think, yes, after a few thousand lifetimes, I'll make some advancement. No. Every day chant Harinam seriously. What does the Bhagavatam say? Tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusha param. Bhakti performed with great focus, determination, intensity. Yajeta purusha param. You can quickly achieve the highest destination. So internally, one thing that struck out, recently I read, I think Srila Bhagavat Maharaj posted this. You can see like this fiery, energetic mood of our acharyas, this Odarya Leela, mercy pastimes, because the jivas, the Buddha jivas are so conditioned, so covered with anartas, you have to have some kind of like force to wake them up into the true reality. Fiery energy, this lion acharya mood. And we see Swami Prabhupada had that, and the acharyas in our line had that. Param Gurudev had that. He said, what is the real meaning of Trinadapi Sunichana? He said, Tar sire upare lati mari. Swami Prabhupada would say, we kick on their head with boot. This is real humility. Only when there is sweetness and affection, true, genuine, Chutananda was here, how they preached in Srila Prabhupada's time. Our Gurudev said, should preach like in the time of Swamiji, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada preached, he had an army of preachers. Everyone was qualified. Within only joining the mud, within a few months, go to England, start a center, go to Montreal, start a center, go to San Francisco, start a center, go to Los Angeles, start a center. Because they were fearless. And therefore, it's possible. No fear whatsoever. So, Swami Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, they had this similar mood. And in this way, with this kind of missionary spirit, preaching was established. We shouldn't think the old days are not possible, that they won't ever come back. We're not like we're, nostalgic for the past. We should be forward thinking. Yes, past is glorious, but we shouldn't only dwell in the past and not live in the present. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, forget the past that sleeps and never the future dream at all, but act in times that are with thee and progress thee shall call. So we should think our acharyas are present today. Swami Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev, our Guru Varga, Nitaya Charana Satya Tahara Sevaka Nitya. Lord Nityananda and his sevaks, they are eternal, and we are aspiring to become those das and the das and the das. Kiva Vipra Kivanasi. Whatever level one may be at, sincerely follow the process. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada had one European disciple, Sadhananda Prabhu, and he also came and he very quickly advanced, and he was a great preacher in his time as well. And so internally we have to always remember, Amani Manad Hoy Krishna Nam Sadalave Braji Radha Krishna Manasi Seva Kuribe. Don't become like we don't want to become a hawker speaker or a platform speaker, Prabhupada would say. Platform speakers aren't preachers. We are not platform speakers. If we internally, sincerely follow, then we can genuinely distribute this message and nurture our faith by that process. So I don't know how much time I have. I want to go over something that's kind of interesting topic. How many?
You have about 5 more minutes.
Okay, good. Okay. This is, there's not much. I know we've heard so many beautiful speakers, but so many amazing things to talk about. I want to talk about something kind of interesting. His writings, Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, are so amazing in depth and genius, you could say. Even great scholars had difficulty understanding his depth of vocabulary and his language and his presentation was so immaculate and divine. One thing that he showed really as an important thing for us and to understand Braja Bhakti is there's 5 kinds of knowledge. This is something our Srila Gurudev talked about. 5 kinds of knowledge. And how Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada showed the highest kind of knowledge and showed all the other levels, but ultimately showed the superiority of the highest level. So that is Pratyaksha Gyan, Paroksha Gyan, Aparoksha Gyan, Adoksha Gyan, and Aprakrita Gyan. Pratyaksha means what you see by sense perception in this world, but because of your faulty senses, it's like faulty instruments, then you get faulty measurements. And so this is kind of like the scientific method. But ultimately, our acharyas, they show that this is not the proper way to understand the absolute truth. Aprakrita vastu nahi prakrita gochar. Transcendental subjects are not perceivable by mundane material senses. So therefore, we have to go beyond this. And then we go to paroksha gyan, higher knowledge. And this is knowledge that pertains to some kind of higher dimensional understandings like a heavenly realm and hellish region and the results of one's pious and impious merits, sinful deeds and piety. And in Shastra, in many different religions, we hear mostly about these kinds of topics, dharma, artha, kam. Perform religion for bettering yourself. And Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada would call this elevationism. Try to elevate yourself to a higher state of enjoyment. And many religions deal in this subject matter. Enjoy in a higher realm by being good in this world and pray to God for this kind of enjoyment. But you're still bound to the conception of this body as the self, and therefore you're ultimately in ignorance. Then a higher knowledge is called aparoksha. Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada also expertly taught this. Aparoksha jnana is, we see this level of knowledge as you are not this body and you must die. Our Gurudev would say, last year you may be Miss Universe, but this year you're Miss Nobody. And 10 years from now, you're who? Who was that? 100,000 years from now? 100 years from now, you're dust. So don't be attached to this body and this so-called self-identity. This is false. Develop higher knowledge. So aparoksha gyan, it's an important stage of Sankhya yoga and knowledge of the Atma. But this is ultimately also taught by Mayavad and Shunyavad. Buddhism teaches you are not this body. But there is still a higher form of knowledge. Srila Prabhupada came and preached Nirvashesha Shunyavadi. He liberated us, Pashyata Desha Tarini, from Nirvashesha Shunyavad. We should not think we are only not this body. We should think, what body am I? Who am I truly? What is my spiritual nature? What is my spiritual identity? Gopi Bharatu Pataklamayo Das Das Nidas. So higher than aparoksha gyan is adoksha gyan. Adoksha gyan means knowledge of the kingdom of God, his spiritual realm, Vaikuntha. That abode free of anxiety, free of fear, fear of lamentation. A very wonderful transcendental abode like Lord Brahma saw in Canto 2, Chapter 9 of Srimad Bhagavatam, how he saw the divine realm of the Lord after doing tapa, penance. And yet that realm has some mixture of Aishwarya. Many sampradayas, pure bona fide lineages, they preach about this adoksha gyan, about the realm of the Lord, Vaikuntha Dham, and this service of the Lord there. And also salokya, samipya, and other forms of mukti. But ultimately, diyamanam nagrinanti vinamat sevanam yata. There's a higher and highest knowledge. That is aprakrita tattva, the transcendental highest limit of the absolute truth. And that is madhuryojvala bhakt premadya shirupanuga bhaktida. That is why Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada also came to give this, and we should not relegate this out of its own, meaning we should not act as if this doesn't exist. Now a prakrita tattva cannot be discussed. Paroksha, aparoksha, maybe a doksaj, but no aprakrita tattva. Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada said, what is the prakrita tattva? Anarpita charin chirat karunaya vatirna kalau samarpaitam unatujula rasam svabhakti shriyam. That's svabhakti shriyam. That is the prakrita tattva. Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada said this aprakrita tattva means sakya ras, vasalya ras, madhurya ras especially. These three primary rasas of relationship with Krishna. Krishna sambandha vijnana daine prabhavenama. He gave us this knowledge and realized a knowledge of relation with Krishna as a friend, as a son, and as a beloved, and service in that realm. Aishwarya Shitil Prem Nahi Mora Prita. Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, Mahaprabhu would say, I am not satisfied by love tinged with awe and reverence and opulence. Why? Because we can use that for paroksha gyan also. Oh God, you are so great. Send me to heaven so I can enjoy. Because God is great, he has everything, then I can ask him for fulfilling my material demands. And so many religions follow this process of paroksha gyan. They have moral values and understandings, but they're still seeking elevationism. And Prabhupada preached against that. And he also preached against salvationism, which is various forms of aparoksha gyan and adoksha gyan. Said we are not interested in salvationism. We are not interested in mukti. Diyamanam nagrananti. Krishna may say, take mukti. No, I don't want it. Vinamat sevanam yata. We only want seva. And the highest expression of that loving service for God is in the gopis. Therefore, Krishna says, sadhu krityam, you are real sadhus. Because you don't demand anything from me. Oh, you are God, now give me bread and butter. No, I only want your loving service life after life. Like Mahaprabhu said, Nadanam najanam nasundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaya mama janmani janmanishvara bhavatad bhakti mahaitu pitaya. Let me be born again and again, I don't mind. As long as I'm in your service and with the devotees. So there's so many, things to speak about, but it is important to remember when we speak about the acharyas, our Gurudev would say, so much cutting of the jungle has been done. And this is a continual process, clearing the weeds, cutting the jungle. But ultimately, we're here not just to cut the jungle, we're here to build something in its place, the palace of Prem. We're here to build something in its place. Oh, you're not the body, good. Okay, well then what am I? I'm not just nothing. You are not. We should not only follow the process of Sankaracharya, which is neti, neti, neti. I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm not this. What happens if you don't have a positive side is it's like peeling layers of the onion. You get to the end, oh, nothing's there. Peeling layers of cabbage, at the end, nothing's there. No, what are you really? So that's what Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada taught. Madhurya Jala Prema Da Shri Rupanuga Bhakti Da. That is why, what is Bhakti Tattva, Vivek? What is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu? What is Ujjvala Nilamani? At a certain point in our devotional life, 30 years, 40 years down the line, we have to enter into the wealth of the treasure of the Goswamis. And that treasure, Mahaprabhu said it's buried, but you must dig it up and find that treasure. And that is the treasure of our Goswamis literature. And so at a certain point in our spiritual evolution, we should make stride into advancement and dive into this Gauda Prem. Gauda Prem Rasanave Setarange Jevadube Se Radha Madhava Antaranga. So in this way, we're remembering Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, our Param Gurudev, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Prabhupada, all the acharyas, praying today for their mercy, praying every day to worship them, do Guru Puja, and to become established in their service in this line. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. Wow, that was so power-packed, Rasik Mohan Prabhu. There's actually some things that you said. I mean, it's really wonderful as we are hearing all of this offering, with so many devotees in succession, day to day, like day and night in this program. And there's something that you said that I think dropped into my soul for the first time, because we've heard about how much Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada was cutting jungles, but you talked about building the Palace of Prem. And also this idea of preaching, like we know he was so lion-like and so bold, but you emphasize the sweetness and affection that must be there. And that really is, I think, something that when people hear Hari Katha and it's delivered with a sweet and affectionate mood, it is very attractive. And it's very distinctive from other kinds of preaching that exists in the world. And I think that's really marvelous that you brought out, those distinctions, because when as I started to think, well, yeah, he was so bold and so strong and yet so sweet and so affectionate. Like you said, the incarnation of the mercy potency, which again is another description of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada that I had not really had before your talk. And then just this last part that you got in about the 5 kinds of knowledge. I think I got this for the first time because you explained it so eloquently that if I may, just to make sure I do have it, you said there's Pradoksha Gyan, which is what we have by sense perception, which we know is full of, defects, and we have imperfect senses. And that's like that mundane level of science and knowledge is sort of based on this type of approach. 2 was Paroksha Gyan, which is, I think you said elevationism to a higher dimension of knowledge, but it's still bound by this concept of the body. Then Aparoksha Gyan has the concept of you are not this body, you must die. That's a very high realization for any of us to have. But this is also sort of Mayavadism, Shunyavadism, includes that. And the real opportunity is, what body are you? Where is this existence? Where's your true self? I would say, where's your true self? Then Adokshagan has this knowledge of the kingdom of God. That's higher than just, I am not the body, but it's also laced with so much Aishvarya mood that the topmost knowledge is then Aprakrit Tattva Gyan, which is really where we begin to have an understanding of the relationship with God, Sambandhyagan, not just this kingdom of God, but this personal relationship, especially Sakya, Vatsalya, or Madhurya mood. Did I get that properly?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a short summary. I didn't have much time to go into it deeply, but yeah, beautiful.
Well,
it's a very
thank you.
interesting thing because you can see how all levels of knowledge are needed.
Yes.
It's the same thing, like I said in the beginning, that we have to understand the acharyas on all these levels, but don't take away the highest level because you think, oh, we cannot approach it even. Ultimately, Krishna var, the reservoir of pleasure. What does that mean? That is a prakrita tattva. And so we have to give that through, Saka Chandra Nyaya, we use pratyaksha. Saka Chandra Nyaya is a pratyaksha principle, the moon on the branch of the tree. But ultimately, we have to talk about, through sadhana bhakti and bhajana kriya, actually entering and understanding that highest realm.
Jai. So that's fantastic. Thank you so much. And I know that we're running just a few minutes late, but I know Achyutananda Prabhu, I'm going to ask you to unmute because you have something to share very briefly on a bold preaching anecdote of, I think, my Gurudev. Is that correct?
Yes. Am I on?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. About boldly preaching, Sripad Bhaktisiddhanta Madhava Maharaj told the story of how Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj used to preach. There was a park in Calcutta where wealthy men used to congregate and talk about business and the market. And Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj would walk right through them and bump into them. And they'd turn around and go, "Excuse me, sir." And then he'd start preaching. Just to get their attention. That's boldly good. These were millionaires, wealthy gentlemen of Calcutta. So,
thank you so much for that anecdote. Beautiful, beautiful. And thank you again, Rasik Mohan Prabhu. I'm going to now move on to